Welcome to the Hamster Channel. I got a video game review for you. This time, it's of Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. Before we get into the review, let's get some stuff out there because there's a lot of crap online. No, this is not a PSP port. No, there is no physical release of the game. It is $29.99. The original game designer did make this one. The game started in 1985 and the last entry was in 2010. And despite some of the levels being reimagined and put into this one, no, this is not a remaster. Now, let's talk about the video game. Big serious conversation time! What originally drew me into the games of Ghosts and Goblins was the dark fantasy aspect and the arcadey nature of the games. This is, in my opinion, a video game in its truest form. A linear game, a basic story, simple moveset, that's all you need. It's an arcade game. While my experience with the franchise is small, I would say that my time with Super Ghosts and Goblins is decent despite only having reached possibly the first 3 levels. Having never been able to beat the games previously, I really do think now I will beat the game. The fact you're able to choose the difficulty at the start of the game and reduce the difficulty at any point during your gameplay, I really think that's going to not only bring in more gamers, I think ultimately that will be better for speedrunning communities and all sorts of things. I do take this as a step in the right direction. I would argue that Ghosts and Goblins in general, especially Resurrection, is the classic video game. This to me is what I would think of as a child when I would think of video games growing up. Dark fantasy setting, arcadey features and gameplay. I really do think that this is the video game. The quintessential, this is what a video game is, probably to your grandparents. Let's talk graphics. I love the storybook visuals. The animations are fluid and beautiful and blend together perfectly. Everything moves and has life to it. I love the look. The art design is phenomenal. I think it's one of the strongest aspects. I've been hearing quite a bit of complaints and reading quite a bit of complaints about the visuals of the game, and I personally don't get the critiques. Sound design is also fantastic. I would argue that that could also be the best aspect this game has to offer. The sounds are amazing. Sounds of the monsters and the items and weapons all sound unique from one another and stand in their own diverse placement in the sound spectrum. As for the score, it's an arcadey, gamey, retro dream come true. It's perfectly realized dark fantasy arcade video game. Gameplay-wise, this game is so fine-tuned. I haven't played a retro platformer that's felt this good in years. This is one of the best. While this is a brutally challenging game, I do think with the new difficulty slider and the skill tree mechanics, I think there's a way to buff your character and scale the difficulty in a way that will allow players like me who are unable to finish previous entries the final possibility to beat and see the end of Ghosts and Goblins. It's very clear that the team behind this has more than 30 years experience in the game, as they are just fine-tuned, pitch perfect, every input is exact and precise. It's a great feeling video game, even if your character doesn't jump as far as you want them to. Single player is incredible. I really enjoy the single player, and I love the level design of all the stages. They're all unique, they all stand out from one another, and they have really fun gameplay mechanics that are unique to the levels. Be it a visual change or a mechanical one, it's all very enjoyable. However, there is a light co-op mode in this one. Probably doesn't offer as much depth as people are hoping. I do think it's a very fun gimmick, and I do think it's worthy of being in the game, as me and my girlfriend had quite a bit of fun playing it. Story is an arcade video game. A knight is going to save a princess and has to fight off a horde of demons, ghouls, and ghosts and goblins. As someone who really appreciates the simplistic story design of classic video games, this really works for me. I love the idea of just this basic plot that sends the character on his journey. While the story is basic, I do think the world building and atmosphere is enough to keep people interested in the universe that surrounds it. In summary, I really like Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. I think it's a very fun video game and absolutely achieves what it sets out to do with its dark fantasy arcadey feel. It's a wonderfully fine-tuned game filled with secrets, meta, and tons of content to keep you playing for hours and hours. That is the review. That's Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. That's what I think of the game. Personally, I think the art design is fantastic. I think it's a gorgeous game. I think the gameplay is fine-tuned perfectly. This is, as I said, just in my opinion, a video game in its purest form. It's so much fun, it's so infuriating, and I can't wait to play some more, which is what I'm about to do. Bye-bye!